Here we go. What's up, everybody? My name is Joe Morley, and Raider Nation, are you ready for the regular season? Because the preseason is over. The 3 games that were allotted for us to go out there, and usually the Raiders win these games, right? Usually we're sitting here going, we're the preseason champions. We didn't get 1 win. We got a tie. But you know what they say about ties? Ties are like kissing your sister, and nobody wants to do that unless you're from the deep south or you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Those are the only ones that do that. I am live here on YouTube, so if you are watching me on YouTube, DJ Morley on YouTube, please hit that like button, and please subscribe if you haven't already. If you are on TikTok, please come on over. Come on over to YouTube where we can join, and you can comment on it, and I can pull it on the screen and have a great time. If you already saw the thumbnail, you already know what I'm talking about. I'm going to talk about the Raiders preseason, my overview of everything that we saw. I'm going to talk about Davante Adams supposedly being unhappy because some ex-NFL player talked to him. And then we're going to talk about the 53-man roster. I'm going to give you players that I think are locks or guaranteed locks, and then we'll go through the cuts another day. But here on this show, this is what we're going to talk about. So if you have anything that you want to talk about and you want to ask me, throw it in the comment section, and I'll bring it up on there. First of all, I thought the performance yesterday was the best we've seen in the whole postseason, or in the preseason. Sorry about that. But a little too late, right? Everybody was down on the Dallas game after that. Raiders came out, and what you really saw, this is what I really like seeing, is seeing the veterans on the sideline and being a part of the game. Even if they weren't playing, they were a big part of the game. They were cheering it on. They were letting people know. They were, like, most of the time, some of these veterans would get lost on the sideline and sit their ass down and not even know what down it is. But every one of them was in the game cheering on their backups and watching this. I liked what I saw out of Carter Bradley. I think there is a lot of work that needs to be done on him. I'm not going to say that he has a future in the NFL, but his arm is there. He made some bad decisions, but he's still learning. But you could tell where he came from. You could tell that his dad is an NFL football coach. Do I think the Raiders keep Carter Bradley on the roster over Nathan Peterman? No, I don't. I think the Raiders will go with Nathan Peterman because he knows the offense better and he's the veteran. That is the reason. Once the Raiders found out that the 49ers were going to start their first-string defense, that's why they rolled out Nathan Peterman, to have that veteran out there and not mess with Carter Bradley's psyche. It's all right. Nathan Peterman didn't look too bad, but really, if we have Nathan Peterman in the game at any time this season, I mean, we are already down on our quarterback position as it is, right? As Raider fans, we're already looking at our quarterback position going, what the? And now, if we ever get to the point that Nathan Peterman is in there, we might as well just pick it up and wave that white flag and be like, we're done. We're done here, because that's not where we're good. That's not what we want to get to. But I think the Raiders would probably be able to sneak Bradley onto the practice squad if he clears waivers, depending on if his dad can get the Colts to bring him over to them, because that would be an interesting, right? If my son was in the NFL and my son was a free agent and my team could bring him over, I would try to do it. So it would depend on if the Raiders really think that Bradley could clear the waivers, and I think he will. And I think we'll see Bradley on the practice squad and Nathan Peterman as the third quarterback. One guy I thought was tearing it up, and a lot of people threw him under the bus after his fumble, was Dylan Lowry. We've heard about him all offseason, all preseason. He thought he had a great couple runs. He had the fumble. I wanted to see the way that he bounced back from that fumble, and they went right back to him on a passing play. And so that's one way to get the rookies back at it, is to, or any player like that, once they make a mistake. And that's what I want. That's why I was more upset that the Raiders went. The Raiders did that against the Dallas Cowboys, where AOC threw that pick six and they took him right out of the game. If it was a real competition, right? If it was a real competition, quarterback competition, wouldn't you want to see how Aiden O'Connell bounced back from that pick six? So I was glad they were able to do that with Dylan Lowry yesterday, to leave him in the game after his fumble and see how he came back from that. Everybody fell in love with Tyreek McAllister yesterday, right? And Ramil Keaton. Ramil Keaton is somebody that I've talked about earlier in the preseason, in training camp. Tyreek McAllister came from the CFL, and that guy, oh my God, he tore it up, right? With the win. We're not used to seeing good special teams play. Like, I don't remember seeing a good kick returner, since Dwayne Harris? Is that our last one when we were in Oakland? It's finally good to see a punt return. It's finally good to see somebody on special teams be able to return the ball. And if you're looking, I made a post about this on all my social medias today. If you're the Raiders, you're wondering how many wide receivers you're going to carry. Most teams will carry 5 or 6. So the Raiders will have to make that decision. And you already have to think that they got Davante Adams, they got DJ Turner, they got Jacoby Myers, and they got Trey Tucker. So who will be number 5? Who will be number 6? Some people, I think Wilkerson is already a lock for that number 5. He got cut last year. Did he do enough to make it again? I think he did. But now with the way that Keaton and McAllister played in the final preseason game, that's going to put a little bit of pressure on Tom Telesco and AP. But at the end of the day, I think Wilkerson will make that 5th wide receiver spot, and I think they will keep McAllister trying to get Keaton onto the practice squad. A lot of people will ask, Joe, what about Jalen Guyton? What about Jalen Guyton? I'm not a big fan of Jalen Guyton. He hasn't done anything really to stand out in the preseason. And just because you're a veteran, does that guarantee you a spot on just because you're a veteran shouldn't guarantee you a spot on the Raiders roster. So, and Jalen Guyton, when I went to the practice, Jalen Guyton was dropping balls left and right. These other I say give the young wide receivers a shot. If you guys are looking on YouTube, I have Raider Jesse in the house. Raider Jesse in the house. Let me switch on over to him real quick.
Yo, what's up? What's up?
You getting on the plane right now, coming back from the game?
Yeah, I'm heading back now. I'm on the airplane right now. Heading back over there to the Bay, over to Oakland. So,
if you guys don't know who Raider Jesse is, and you see him at the stadium, you guys are going to be looking for this right here. This right here, Raider Jesse, and these bandanas right here.
got some ones right there, baby. Let's go.
Or what do they call them? A hanky? They call these a hanky? I don't know. I don't know what he called it.
Yeah, he called it a hanky.
He did call it a hanky, right?
Yes. I was cracking up.
Jesse, you were at the game yesterday. How was the crowd?
The crowd was mainly all Niner fans. You know, that's nothing new. There was some Raider fans, but realistically, some ones that we just usually just go to the games. You know.
Hey, 2 weeks in a row, Dallas, San Francisco in Allegiant Stadium. I was trying to talk nice about the Raider Stadium last week, and now Raider fans are like making me look bad. 2 weeks in a row, massive fights break out at our stadium. What the hell? Are we back in Oakland or what? Like, we haven't seen these.
I think what's going on at the Allegiant Stadium is it's preseason. So what's happening during preseason? Tickets are cheap. So got cheap tickets. You got cheap fans that don't know how to act. So you know the whole reason why Allegiant I think has so less fighting is because the majority of the time people can't afford to even go. So I think that's what it is.
Hey, me and you like to have fun. We like to talk shit. And we can take the shit talking back. But nothing should piss you off enough to throw a punch like that. Like I don't get it. Like I don't care if I spent $20 on a ticket. I'm not getting thrown out. I paid money for that. That's my money.
Yeah, some people just don't know how to act. You mix in a rivalry, then you mix in alcohol, and alcohol obviously impairs your mind, so people just don't know how to act.
So yeah, it is what it is. How you feeling about the Raiders season though? Did you like this? Did this game give you a little bit more confidence?
I don't know. I think after 3 weeks is when I can make my real assessment. Week 1, week 2, obviously we're gonna be getting the bugs out. Week 3 is when I know what type where it's gonna be headed. So, you know, right now my confidence level, I say it's about 8-8 or 9-8 schedule. I'm about even about whatever's gonna happen.
Yeah. And hey, SoFi Stadium is only 2 weeks away now. Like 2 weeks from tomorrow, we'll be standing at SoFi Stadium. You'll be there, I'll be there, and we'll be watching the Raiders beat down the Chargers. We already know that. Like, there's a couple Charger fans that are trying to come out and actually act like they have something. But come on, the Chargers aren't about that. The Chargers don't want to see us.
I got nothing. Nothing. It's funny. But hey, we're gonna be taking off pretty soon. I just wanted to tap in with you. I know you was going live. Wanted to show some support to my boy Joe Morley. So you know what I mean. We're gonna be taking off right now. So
All right, Jesse, have
tap
a
in
safe
with you.
flight.
All right, you have a good one, brother. Appreciate you having me on. Mhm.
So that's Raider Jesse. If you guys haven't known him, find him on social media accounts. Raider Jesse is everywhere. And if you guys find him at the stadium, that as well. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. We're talking about the 53 man. Oh, okay. So a lot of people are asking me, why is Deshaun Watson unhappy? Why did Deshaun Watson? Why do I got Deshaun Watson in my head? Anyways, why is Davante Adams unhappy? Some people are saying that he's unhappy because DeSean Jackson, former Raider, former Eagle, former Tampa Bay, whatever team what else did he play for? Washington. So he came out and he was on the show and he said that he had a private conversation with Davante Adams. And Davante Adams told him that I'm not happy. That doesn't mean shit to me. That could have been like, Derek Carr's not here, my best friend. Like, I'm not happy with the quarterback competition. He could be unhappy with certain situations, but in a whole, love it still because he's coming out calling AP the GOAT. He's working with the players. He's not complaining. If he was very unhappy, the Raiders would have shipped him off already. If Davante Adams was not happy at all in Las Vegas, all he has to do is walk into Mark Davis's office, walk into Antonio Pierce's office, and be like, "I don't want to be here," and the Raiders would ship him out because the Raiders don't want players there that don't want to be there. Davante Adams 100% wants to be a Raider. He wants to turn around. His only thing is he knows that his time in his career is coming to an end, and he only has a couple years left, and he doesn't want to use it rebuilding or trying out new quarterbacks or with the second string quarterback. He wants to win now, and he knows that. So this shit about DeSean Jackson, like if you were an NFL player and your phone rang from DeSean Jackson, I wouldn't tell him shit because not only did he do this to Davante Adams where he set a private conversation and put it out in public, he also called many of his ex-teammates on the Eagles and put them on speakerphone just for a podcast, just so he could call out his former head coach in Chip Kelly. So anything that, like if you're an NFL player and you see DeSean Jackson calling you, don't answer that fucking phone because basically he's just using you for views. And that's exactly what he did for Davante Adams and all that. Because if anybody brings up anything Raider Nation, if you talk about the Raiders, you post about the Raiders, and especially if you are fucking negative about the Raider Nation will come out and attack you, and we will defend our team like no other. And that's why ESPN, Fox, DeSean Jackson, Undisputed, Sean Merriman, this is why all these people post negative stuff about the Raiders. They might not believe that the Raiders would win 4 wins. Maybe they think the Raiders are going to win 7. But that if they say the Raiders win 7 wins, that's not going to sell views. If they got to tell you the Raiders are going to only win 4 games, that way the Raider Nation will come back and say, what the fuck, ESPN? Why are you coming after our team? And then it blows that shit up and makes it popular once again. If you are still watching ESPN, I don't know what to tell you because ESPN is a joke and always has been and has been for many years now, and you're not going to get quality sports information off of ESPN. You might as well just tune in to some fake news bullshit if you want to do that. So that's the Davante Adams thing. Oops, wrong one. So yesterday we were looking at the 53-man roster and what they did on the roster and what players did yesterday. So like I said, I already talked about the wide receiver position. Now Raiders have some very tough cuts coming up. They're very, very tough decisions, especially on the defensive line. And here's the thing they need to look for. Raiders need defensive backs. If you haven't been watching the preseason, you know that our secondary, the Raiders tried to put out some young guys. They tried to let the young guys play in the secondary, and it didn't work out. If you watched Antonio Pierce talk to the press today, he said that he will not feel comfortable putting young defensive backs out there when they're not ready. He was talking about Brandon Faison, and he can't get a read on what Brandon Faison brings to the team because for the second consecutive year, Brandon Faison has not practiced. He is hurt, and I think the Raiders will put him on IR again, which would put him out there for the last or maybe take him out for the first 4 weeks. This is the same thing that happened last year. If Brandon Faison can't get on the field, he cannot help the Raiders. So the Raiders are going to be, that they're going to be out there looking for secondary help. They need as much secondary help as they can. And if they wanted one of the veterans that were already out there, I think the Raiders would have reached out. So I don't think the Raiders are happy with the current free agent class or the current free agent defensive backs that are out there. I think they're going to watch the cuts and find somebody. And if they can get better off the cuts, they're going to do it. Defensive end. We already know Max Crosby and Malcolm Koonce are on the team. Now, Janarius Robinson, hands down, won himself a 53-man spot yesterday. Snowden probably won himself a spot yesterday. Tyree Wilson, I don't know what the Raiders want to do with him, but I think it's too early to give up on Tyree Wilson. I think he's going to be on the team unless the Raiders can find like a great trade for him. But I've seen a lot of people talk about what is Tyree Wilson's trade value. I don't think there is a trade value out there. And if you trade him, you're not going to get what you invested into him. So it's better to get him going. We saw what he could do a little bit towards the end of last year. And you got to hope that when we get the stunts going, when we get the blitzes going, that maybe he can eventually, because he's engaging in the blocker and he's not getting off of him. And he's pushing him back like he's getting in the backfield, but he's not getting the block. He's not getting off the block. And that's what Tyree Wilson needs to do. But we all knew he was going to be a smaller defensive end, and then especially when you move him inside, he's even smaller going up against those guards. But I think it is too early to give up on Tyree Wilson. So I believe Tyree Wilson will make the team as well. I have a question. I don't know if the Raiders, how many tight ends the Raiders are going to be carrying, because you got to think the Raiders are going to that 12-man personnel. So they're going to be running two tight ends all the time. Now, will they carry that third extra tight end or the fourth extra tight end? Like, you got to think they got to make the Mayer and they got Brock Bowers, and Bryant will automatically guarantee the team. So that's three. Will they keep a fourth one, or maybe even a fifth one? Depending, I doubt they go five, because I think they can slide one of these guys onto the practice squad. But at least the question is, are they going to keep that fourth one? And you got to think, if your basic offense is going to be 12-man personnel, you're going to want that extra tight end in there every time, especially one that can block. Offensive line, we're getting healthy. I don't think it's going to be too hard to cut some of these guys down. That is everything that I had to talk about today on this short little episode. Like I said, I'm just trying to get back into the groove of doing this. I want to do this more often. And I want to do a full breakdown of the 53-man roster probably tomorrow or Monday before they actually make the cuts. But like I said, I think yesterday guaranteed that these guys guaranteed that they made the team yesterday were Chris Smith, who I think was going to make the team no matter how he played yesterday. What's his name? Amari Gainer. I think the Raiders might have hit something right there. Janarius Robinson. Those three guys right there, I think, guaranteed and stamped their 53-man roster spot. Justin is saying, I'm usually excited about our season, but not this year. Well, maybe that's a good thing, Justin. Maybe that is a good thing for the Raider fans that usually I get excited about anything. Like, I don't give a damn. The Raiders could be 0-16, and I'm going to week 17 going, let's go, baby, let's go. Maybe that's a good thing that you're actually feeling down about the season, because when the Raiders actually do something, and if the Raiders continue to win and they can throw these wins together and it surprises you, you'll actually be happier more. Like, sometimes when you go in with expectations and it doesn't go your way, you're more bummed out. But if you go in with no expectations and you're just going in there going, hey, let's see what this team can do. Because the question mark for the Raiders is the quarterback position. And it has been. And the Raiders did a horrible job at addressing the quarterback position. And that's something that we've all known. They couldn't get it in the draft. You could say that the Falcons screwed us up, or the Raiders weren't aggressive enough to get up. And then you looked at free agent and there wasn't anything. So when you brought in Gardner Minshew and you had AOC and you didn't draft a quarterback, we automatically knew that was going to be one of our biggest question marks. And you already know that if you want to win in the NFL, you have to have a good quarterback. And not taking anything away from Gardner Minshew, last year he had a good year. Last year he played for one of the best offensive minds in the NFL in Shane Steichen. Can he repeat that again? Gardner Minshew, okay, Derek Carr lovers, right? If you're a Derek Carr lover, you're probably going to love Gardner Minshew, and you're probably going to have a lot of flashbacks of Derek Carr, because you will get the good with Gardner Minshew. But when it's bad, it's bad. So you might get the flashy 50, 60-yard touchdown, or the run out and run 20 yards from Gardner Minshew. But then you will get that ugly interception. The one that you're looking going, what the fuck was that, Gardner? AOC, and I'm not saying that AOC is better than Gardner Minshew. I was rooting for AOC to win the job, not because I think he could be a great quarterback in this league, but because there was a slight chance that he could be a great quarterback in the league, if you understand what I'm saying. I think that's when the Raiders named Gardner Minshew the starter over Aiden O'Connell. That's when the Raider Nation, when it finally, like, we knew it was coming, but it finally hit us that we said, fuck, we're screwed. Fuck, we have no quarterback, right? And we got to hope that this journeyman quarterback, and we'll throw all kinds of stats out there to make us feel good about Gardner Minshew, right? Like, there's a bullshit stat going out there, a bullshit flyer that people are showing that shows that Gardner Minshew is just as great as Trevor Lawrence. That whole stat that somebody made, that whole little graphic that somebody made, is bullshit, because it says Trevor Lawrence last 3 seasons, and then it says Gardner Minshew in his last two seasons as a starter. No, those are all Gardner Minshew's 6-year stats. And Trevor Lawrence had a horrible rookie year under Urban Meyer. If you take away Urban Meyer's year and you only look at Trevor Lawrence's last 2 seasons, 46 touchdowns. Unbelievable. He's gotten better the last 2 seasons. Gardner Minshew has had 6 years to get to where he's at. We can hope that and then we could tell ourselves, maybe he can be Rich Gannon. Maybe he could turn himself, and then we could buy into that. But we're just grasping at stuff right now, hoping and trying to talk ourselves into what we have at the quarterback position. So I think that's why I was more upset when the Raiders named Gardner Minshew the starter, not because I don't think Gardner – I think Gardner Minshew – not that I think that AOC is better than Gardner Minshew, because I don't. It's just that we still had the what if factor on AOC. What if he became something this season? Then we didn't have to worry about the quarterback position next year. But once they named Gardner Minshew the starter, in my mind, and I think in everybody else's mind, we said we give up on AOC. He has no future here. If AOC is really still the guy, then he will still take over midseason if Gardner Minshew goes down or if he's not performing right, and he will still perform at a high level. But I wanted to see Aiden O'Connell early in the season with expectations on him, with a quality backup going, hey, if you fuck up, we're putting somebody in. Hey, the fan base is rooting for you. It would have put a lot more pressure on AOC, where later on in the season, if Minshew goes down or if he's not performing well and Aiden O'Connell comes in, he's coming in with this like he did last year. No pressure. Go out there, kid. Do your thing. But either way, when they named Minshew the starter, I had a balloon here and I popped it and I said they took the air out of the Raiders fan base, just because we had a little bit of hope that maybe we would get something great out of the quarterback position. But it was something that we were all just hoping for, and we knew in the back of our mind that the quarterback play was going to be a big question mark this year. So I don't know why we took it that hard, but we all did. We all took that little bump last week, maybe because we also got our ass kicked by the Dallas Cowboys at the same time, and it was like, holy shit. David is in the house, and he said, we haven't even played a down in the NFL. I don't know what he's talking about. Oh, this season. Yeah, one play. Yeah, the season won't start for 2 more weeks. We lost Josh Jacobs. I'm not really worried about the Josh Jacobs signing, going to Green Bay. Let him do his thing in Green Bay. Good for him. I like Zamir White. At what point were we ever going to let Zamir White try to do his thing if we were going to keep Josh Jacobs around for 2 or 3 more years? I think Luke Getsy can call some run plays, and he can get everybody, the lineman going one way and the running back going the other way. I think we're going to be surprised, or everybody will be surprised by the run game. I actually think the run game will be better this year than it was last year with Luke Getsy back there. Now, that could help the quarterback position. And the one thing that Luke Getsy, and you saw it in the preseason games with Luke Getsy, is he's not afraid to dial up the long shot to Trey Tucker or DJ Turner, which will keep the safeties and the defense back and not allow them to stack the box. Because if we can hit a deep pass early in a game, they're going to back up and they won't stack the box. The moment that they say, fuck it, we don't trust our quarterback, or we don't trust your quarterback enough that we think that you just have the running game, they're going to bring up that box. They're going to bring that 8-man up. Jeff is saying running backs don't last more than 5 years. It was time for Zamir White. I 100% agree, Jeff. I think Jeff and I have been talking through last season and even now, and we talked about it. I talked about it when last preseason. I was like, hey, I think Zamir White is ready to start. Raider Nation, we just weren't ready to let go of Josh Jacobs, and now I think we were, because you can't. I mean, really, if Josh Jacobs wanted to be a Raider, and I've talked about this, if Josh Jacobs wanted to be a Raider, he would still be a Raider right now. He decided to leave. He is the one that is talking shit about the franchise after he left. I know the Raiders only offered him $8 million. He went and got $12 million from the Packers, which could turn into a $4 million deal. But really, if you're looking at that deal, it's a 1-year, $12 million deal. So the Raiders have to see what they had in Zamir White. They brought in Alexander Madison, who last year struggled to find the end zone for the Minnesota Vikings. And then it just, I think fresh starts help players out a lot. So once he went and he left the Minnesota Vikings, because once that starts getting in your head that, hey, once you get in the red zone, you start to fumble, you start to eat it and believe it yourself that you're not going to score. And I think Alexander Madison has been able to change his mind and become the better running back. I'm a Niner fan, and Stidham was cooking us 2 years ago. Should have kept him. But what has Stidham done since he left? Nothing. But I mean, he's with Sean Payton right now, and he just got beat out by a rookie in Bo Nix, and he got beat out by an older Russell Wilson last year. Minshew has been a backup for a reason, is what Justin is saying. It is true, but like I said, but Minshew has backed up some good quarterbacks. He's backed up Trevor Lawrence. He's backed up Jalen Hurts, and last year was the backup to Anthony Richardson. So maybe we can get it going. This whole Gardner Minshew starting to me is more of Tom Telesco and Antonio Pierce feeling the pressure of the fan base, feeling it that they need to put wins on the board. They need to get wins in the win column, and this is the best way to do it. This is like, okay, Gardner Minshew can make this flashy plays, and we could be like, we tried. Aiden O'Connell would have been the safer bet to go with, even though some people would think that he's a statue in the pocket. But when he has time, that guy makes great decisions with the ball. It's because he's been in the league too long. Gardner Minshew has been in the league 6 years, so we'll see how he does. But hey, has Gardner Minshew ever had these kind of weapons? Like, if you look at the Raiders' offense, holy shit! When you're throwing the ball to Davante Adams, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, and the two tight ends, the two best tight ends in college, in probably college football history, right? Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. I'm having a hard time in fantasy football right now because I know Brock Bowers comes available, and I'm a Raider fan. I want him. But I'm also going, I want Michael Mayer in fantasy football. I want to see what, because Michael Mayer, if we look at the preseason, when the Raiders offense was going, who was sitting right in the middle of the field? Who's getting the worst matchup of all these guys? Michael Mayer is. Michael Mayer is getting the worst defensive back or the linebacker on him. Why everybody else? Because you're going to go, I'm on Davante Adams. You need to stick Jacoby Myers. Then you need to stick Brock Bowers. And then you need to look at Zamir White. So when you're doing all that, then you're like, oh, shit, we forgot about Michael Mayer. So it's Gardner Minshew. And, last night, watching the game last night, I don't know if you guys listened to the Raiders broadcast or not. Rich Gannon was on there. And I had to start laughing because he said, for Gardner Minshew and this offense to succeed, Gardner Minshew has to throw for 70%. And then he talked himself down. He was like, maybe 68%. He goes, but he can't throw for 62%. He needs to throw 68% completion percentage in this offense. And he needs to find the right guys. And I just started laughing. I was like, holy shit. Like, Rich Gannon just basically said, we're fucked as well. Bears have a better offense than the Raiders. Well, they have better playmakers. I hope Minshew proves all of us wrong. I hope Minshew comes out and balls out. But there's a thing about Minshew where he abandons the pocket way too early. Hopefully he can sit in there and make the throws that he needs to and allow the plays to develop. And like Antonio Pierce said himself, Minshew needs to stay on script. What's up, Joker? How you doing? Anyways, guys, I just wanted to go live just for a little bit just to test this out. I'm on YouTube. If you guys are on TikTok, please come on over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. The Joe Morley on there. Hope you guys had a great time talking about this, and I want to go live again and I'm actually going to break down the 53-man roster, who I think is going to get cut, and we'll probably do that tomorrow. So make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm out.